first I gotta say, man, Xbox they looked at Sony and was like, they told them, I won't let you get away with this.
When am I gonna get mine, Atlas? And Atlas said, "We sorry, Will. Here you go. We ain't mean to leave you hanging like that. Here's yours. Take it." And everything about that game looks awesome right now.
It felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. Like, man, it's like all these first party games we're finally getting to see what kind of ideas they're coming out with from inXile, what Avowed actually looks like.
With Xbox, I feel like they always have good conferences, and I think this isn't really any different. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. How's everybody doing? This is No Level Cap Podcast. We back once again with the crew to talk about all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. I want y'all to let me introduce my incredible co-hosts. We've got the Black Daredevil and a secret weapon, a No Level Cap. Terrence Flowers, what's going on?
It's been quite a few days for me. Yesterday, no, not yesterday. Today's Sunday. I'm kind of thrown off because we normally record these on Saturday, but Friday I was doing some background work on a commercial shoot, but we were outside all day in the sun for it. It was we were getting cooked. Yeah. had to have that sunscreen on standby, but it was a good time. And then yesterday, Saturday, I helped out in my gym because they're changing like the layout of the gym, moving certain sections to another place. It's not like a standard like commercial gym where, like 24-hour fitness or something like that. It's local to Austin. So I was just helping them move around stuff. So I was there for like a couple of hours. But yeah, I'm glad to be inside and just doing this podcast today. So no manual labor other than me speaking into the mic and editing later. But yeah, everything's all good on my end.
Man, you love the gym.
Man, found his new bat cave and had to get it ready. Next up, we got the living cartoon of the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's going on, Rakeem?
Hey, man, nothing much. This week's it's been a very exciting week with these new announcements and conferences and things like that. And we're going to talk about it today. I'm excited to get into it. There were definitely some surprises on my end. And of course, there were some games that I was looking forward to that had extensive stuff that I can't wait to talk about. So I'm ready to get into this. I'm happy. Everything's going all right on my end other than my phone died on me Friday. Like, it literally died. It wouldn't charge, it wouldn't come on. So I just went down to the store, went in and got me a new one. Luckily, they had a deal. You can trade it in any condition and get $800 rebate. So
wow.
Basically a free phone.
What phone did you get?
The S23.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
S23. Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad.
Brother getting the phone upgrades for all these popping mobile games about to come out.
Well, I would get the iPhone for that because the Samsung ones be kind of.
Sorry to hear that. Next up, we got the collector of collectors and the master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
So many games, so little time. Once again, here we are, swimming in nothing but CD cases, manuals, DLC slips, and digital downloads. So yeah, we ready. I've been playing Street Fighter 6 a little bit too over the weekend, so I'm trying to get my Kimberly ready for whatever on the internet has to throw at me. But I'm ready to talk about all this new stuff we got coming forward because I ain't got the money for it, but I'm gonna make a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Start slanging dope to sell for me to buy video games.
Just this.
Oh, excuse me. Now, last up, we got the One Punch Man and the Master of Combos, Devin Butts. What's going on, Devin?
I'm good, man. I'm more than good, man. It's been a good week, man. Still, Street Fighter 6 is still upon us, man. I've been playing the heck out of that this week. Me and Rakeem been running matches. I've been playing online, hopping into rank. Hadn't touched War 2 yet. I gotta actually go and play that so I can get some drip and swag for my creative character. The lobbies are full of like reject One Piece characters. Like, these people are just like, I don't know, man. These folks got some issues, man. I have seen some wild characters in these lobbies, man. Like, some stuff for nightmares, man. But I've been dropping some combo videos, trying to stay consistent with that. I'll probably drop maybe one or two tomorrow. a few other videos, but that's been awesome. And of course, man, it's a great time to be a gamer. If anybody you love games, this week has been a lot of good stuff, and we're about to talk about it. So I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer, man. Let's get into this, man.
Lastly, I am Sage Ashford, the man who won't shut up. If you didn't know, No Level Cap goes live every Monday morning. We're on YouTube for video fans, but if you prefer the audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. I do want to say we're officially at 100 subscribers.
Hey.
We finally got there. That's what's up. I just want to say I appreciate y'all. I want to thank each and every one of you for your subs, for your time,
Amen.
for deciding to subscribe to us, watch all this foolishness, because you didn't have to do that. You don't have to spend no time. You could have seen us pop up on the shorts and been like, all right, these guys trash. I'm going on to the next one. But you didn't do that. You subscribed. I thank you so much. We hit 100. Next up, 1 million.
Yeah, get us there.
Yeah, that's right. Get us there. I'm blaming every one of y'all, all 100 of y'all. All that thanks that I just gave you. Fuck that. If you'll get us to 1 million, it don't mean nothing.
Yeah, I want to get paid. We need YouTube money.
Don't they give out like a brand new 2023 car like when you reach 100 subscribers or something like that?
Do that?
I think mine ain't arrived yet. My channel, but I think that's what they do.
Lord have mercy.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's finally, we finally got into that area, and I do hate that this is kind of clumsy at how it, all shook out as far as some of the conferences not quite being done yet, but we did get through Summer Game Fest. We did get through Microsoft Xbox Game Showcase. We got through half, and a lot of indie game showcases and whatnot. So like we're through all of those. And so now I do want to look back and talk about what was there, what wasn't there. What did y'all think? And so the first, I guess, we need to start with is Summer Game Fest, which happened on the 8th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Thursday the 8th. Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I do want to ask, like, what did y'all think of it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? What games kind of, stuck out to you? Devin.
I think Summer Games Fest was definitely left a better taste in my mouth than PlayStation Showcase. There was excuse me, there was like 3 things here that definitely stole the show for me. The last of which basically just everything else didn't matter. With the last thing they showed, I was like, hey man, we out here winning, man. But they had a lot of good stuff that I saw. Lies of P, they showed that they had a demo available. That's coming out, I believe, release date, I think it's September. So yeah. I'm super hyped for that. I'm a huge Bloodborne fan. That's my favorite PS4 game. So I've been waiting for another game. I know we got the Souls games, the Demon Souls, but Bloodborne has a slight different flavor to it. Like the weapons work a little different, things like that. I just like the world more. So Lies of P basically seems like a spiritual successor as basically Bloodborne 2. Play the demo, awesome. It's smooth. If the game comes out in this condition, I feel like it's ready to be played. Like it wasn't really any slowdown or glitches. It just ran buttery smooth. I think Ken, you played it too.
I did.
It's really good. So definitely hyped to see them finally get a release date for that. Of course, I'm a fighting game fan, so MK1. Seeing that being shown off by Ed Boon. He even after they showed it initially, he came up and did like a little. Here's this is how things are working now. Show some combat, gameplay mechanics and stuff, things of that nature. I will say, MK1. I know some people have been saying this online. It looks like MK11 Part 2.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
And I agree a little bit. Because normally, if we look at like the past 3 games, MK9, MKX, and 11,
huge jumps.
They were all vastly different, like in art style, everything. And I was like, man, it does look like MK11. But I guess it kind of makes sense because the story is technically just a direct sequel to what happened in 11. So with that, it makes sense. Even I actually kind of think it looks like Injustice 3. Like I know those it's from the same studio, so obviously they look similar. But there's like certain like the way the visual, the art style looks, and certain things in the stages. Like that first stage they were playing on looked like the first stage they showed off in Injustice 2. I think was like Supergirl and I can't remember who was fighting, but it looks almost just like this stage. I'm like, dang, this looks like Injustice kind of. No interactables now.
Okay.
Yeah, see that I was like, this looks like this stage they showed off when they first showed gameplay of Injustice 2. But it looks good nonetheless. I'm ready to see more about the game. Sonic Superstars, pretty dope. I'm not the most hyped to see another 2D Sonic game, but it does look good. I will say that. I think Sage, you had mentioned earlier about you felt that they were going to continue with like the 3D stuff from Frontiers. It's like, nah, man, Sonic, he gonna run across the screen, man, in one plane. But
He probably, I imagine that you do see Sonic Frontiers like 2 because it sold so well. Like it sold really well. So I imagine you see it again. But in the meantime, I think they're doing what Nintendo's doing as far as like splitting it up and doing like a 2D Sonic and a 3D Sonic.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's what I actually thought about when I saw them. Like, this is very similar to like the new Super Mario Brothers, like those little side games that do really well for Mario. So I guess Sonic is like Sonic Frontiers is probably going to be like the new main 3D game.
Yeah.
And then they have some side games. It looks pretty fun. I must say. Witchfire, I got to give credit to it. It does look cool. I want to see more, but it looks really cool. Banishers looks great. And the last one I want to mention is FF7. Of course, that was the one that made the show for me. When I saw that, that's it. I was like, hey man, I'm cool. They said early next year. I'm like, hey man, that's what I'm talking about. Because I know we had talked about 2 disc,
2 disc,
2 disc,
in
this age.
Oh, multiple. In this case here. 2, 3,
2 disc.
Count them.
They gave us 2 discs the last time, but the first disc was like a installation disc. I'm like, all right, okay. But yeah, like Final Fantasy 7, man. If y'all know me, like I love RPGs. If I'm probably said on the show before, FF7 is my favorite RPG of all time, arguably my favorite game of all time. And to like see this game, being continued, the remake was awesome, part 1. So now seeing part 2 and seeing it is probably a lot closer on us than I thought it was, especially with Final Fantasy 16 being on like about to come out in just a little bit. Man, it looked great. So I cannot wait to play that, and I hope it don't take 3-5 more years to get the last part. But I'm happy nonetheless. So
well,
I would go ahead and say.
I was gonna say you might as well go ahead and get ready to be disappointed that last game because I mean like you got Final Fantasy 7 remake. I mean in 2020 you're getting this in 2024. So I think if you're lucky you get what is it? What's the last one? Because it's already got a name, right? Well, no, it doesn't have a name, right?
No, I don't have a name.
No, it don't have a name. No.
Yeah, whatever they wind up calling it, you'll probably, if you're lucky, you get that in 2027.
Might be what it's called.
Reunion will make sense.
Probably.
Yeah.
But if you're lucky, you get that in 2027 at the end of the generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much those were the things that I saw that looked pretty cool, and I would say Summer's Game Fest that the show was pretty solid. It was a pretty solid show. If I had to just put a number on it, I would give it a solid 8.
Okay, that's what's up. Terrence, what would you give it, man? What'd you think?
For me, when I first watched the show, I thought that it was really good. I thought that most of everything that presented there was fairly solid. And I know we talked about it in the Discord. And yeah, I had a very positive reaction to the show on first watch. Then I kind of looked back over stuff, and I think my opinion has changed just a little bit, just because looking at it, reviewing it again, I could see how there were some parts that they weren't quite as engaging as others. Like Devin, pretty much all the games that Devin mentioned, I was definitely interested in. I mean, it came out the gate with Prince of Persia. That was a big surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, might go into detail more on that one later. Of course, Sonic, MK, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and there was some other stuff sprinkled in there in between. But yeah, those games were like the standouts for me. And a lot of the stuff that kind of happened in between, not so much. But what I will give Summer Game Fest credit for is Jeff really is immaculate at being a good host and just maintaining the flow of it all. Like he's just really good at being able to transition from game to game without it, like, I guess, seeming as slow as what it really is. Because when you watch something like a State of Play, it's kind of easier to see where things kind of have like that low point because there's no like host to kind of like carry things in between. Whereas with Summer Game Fest, Jeff is always there to kind of like give you the jokes and have like interesting segues or even bring developers on stage to provide good interviews. So Summer Game Fest is very different from the other shows in that regard. But I think overall, I probably give it a very, very solid 7. I have to rank it higher than the PlayStation Showcase because that just wasn't that great, if I'm being honest. But I don't think, I mean, I know we'll get to Xbox later, but I don't think this was better than Xbox. So I think it's right in between where Xbox is and where PlayStation is. And that might be a bit of a spoiler for Xbox and what I think of it. But yeah, I think it's a very solid 7. Like it had some good stuff there, but I don't think it needed to be quite as long as it was. I think that had they cut down on the length of it, I think it probably would be even better. But for it to be like was it like an hour and a half? It felt like it was
Close
like
to 2 hours.
It was 2 hours.
Yeah, close to 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a little too long. I think we could have trimmed the fat on that one. So had it been shorter, I think it would have been better. But for it to be 2 hours, I don't think there was quite enough there to keep it engaging for that full time period. So I give it a very solid 7.
Okay, 7 is good. So we got an 8 and a 7. Will, what did you think? What games stood out to you, and what would you give it?
Okay, so I'll just start off and give my rating. For a lot of the things they put out there, I did like them. Some things were kind of for me, but some things definitely hit it out the park. For me, definitely at the beginning, I won't lie to you. When they showed out Prince of Persia, I named like 2 different games that could have been. I said something else each time. I was just like, no, it's this. No, it's that. Is that Prince of Persia? And then when they showed the title, I was like, oh, okay. They fooled me because I definitely wasn't looking for Prince of Persia at all.
Yeah, I thought it was Immortals at first.
Yep, I said that too.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this game is not happening.
Then as soon as I saw that outfit, it was like, wait.
Yep, that's what
Prince of
cued it off
Persia,
for me.
but he's is he black or is it like is he
Or
Persian?
I don't know.
like,
That's not the
between?
Prince. I do know that. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not him.
It's like
So that's why
Killmonger
it threw
Prince
me.
because he has like the haircut.
Hey, man,
Yeah,
he just had a cool haircut. That's all.
yeah, he had a really cool. He did have a cool haircut. But yeah, that was like the game that really threw me for a loop because I didn't expect it to be there. So shout outs to them for actually getting that moving. The next one, the one I really like because I told one of my friends about it and he didn't know about it. But Pal World,
Pokeguns.
yes, Pokegun, Blickymon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
AKA the
Basketball
Pokemon game that looks
good.
better than any other Pokemon game ever has. Like I'm
And
gonna
he
die on
said
that
what he
hill.
said.
Those look good.
That basketball
he
player.
said
so
what
good.
he said. I want Power World really bad. That's one of my games I want. Liza P, no doubt. I do have the demo, but I hadn't had a chance to start it yet. I will be doing that soon. And another game that I got it kind of speaks to me a little bit is Under the Waves. I seen that one, and I was like, that looks interesting because one of the guys that was in my chat when I was watching it, he said Thalassophobia. I'm just like, and it took me a second to me fear of deep waters. I'm like, oh, okay, you got a fear of that? He's like, I can't do it. He's like, in any of them games, I panic. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna play it. I ain't gonna panic, even though I don't care for deep water like that myself. But I want to play that because I want to see what that's like. And of course, we're gonna talk about like a Dragon Gaiden. I know it's Gaiden, but you know the thing that used to be back in the day for us. Witchfire, amazing. I'm looking to play that because it makes me think of Doom. That's what it makes me think of a lot when I look at it. Yeah, when I'm like, this is like Doom with like magical guns and stuff. I'm like, let me have this. I want to try what that's about.
You say what?
It also kind of reminded me of Hellsinger.
I was thinking the same thing. I was
That's
like,
a
dang,
good
this
one.
Metal Hellsinger 2 or something. And I was like, no, it's Witchfire again.
Mm-hmm.
I say, yeah, y'all right. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If y'all don't know me, I'm a big Square Enix guy. I almost said Squaresoft. I almost showed my age again. Yeah, I love me some Final Fantasy VII. It's a very like top tier game. It's in my top 5, no doubt about it. And I gotta say, having Rebirth come here on 2 discs, we're gonna keep emphasizing that on 2 discs. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to sink all them hours into that. I can't wait to see how they actually manage to do that. I hope that this thing don't be them trying to play us and give us the data disc and the play this. I hope they ain't playing us right now.
About that.
Bruh, I'm going to somebody's headquarters, man.
They're making big old claims about 2 discs and it's just a data disc in the
2 discs.
actual game. It's like,
Yeah. But they didn't do that with the first game. They didn't never say nothing about disc with the first game. So.
Yeah, they didn't. You right.
I was very surprised when I saw that. I was like, it's on 2 discs.
That
is
is
wild.
Makes me wonder, like, how big is the game as a digital download?
Yeah.
That game is going to be like 200 gig.
3,000 gigs.
Definitely buying the physical on that one.
For real.
Yeah, definitely buying the physical. I'm sliding into my nearest Amazon.
I know Starfield is 125 gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
So, I
large
mean,
game.
it's
right
gonna
there.
be in that. It's gonna be in that range for
Hey,
Final
man,
Fantasy
it's like
VII.
a Giga Planet, I guess.
Oh, that's not accurate because they still got 1,000 planets.
They
Remember?
did say 1,000 planets.
I know. I guess maybe half a Giga Planet. Then I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Hey man, you never know. But other than that, it was a pretty solid show. Like I said, I'll give it about an 8. Would I watch it again? Most certainly, if they come back and do like they did here with a lot of those good games, like they come off and just start giving me good hits here and there. Like I said, there was a lull or two, but an 8 hits the spot for me for this show.
Okay. I'm gonna say, it was a 7 out of 10. Like
Okay.
I they've been talking about how Jeff killed E3, and I'm like, he didn't kill it, and apparently he loved E3 more than I ever thought he did, because he apparently loved old school E3 so much, like that E3 era from like 2012 to 2014,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of people running their mouth for no fucking reason, just people. I'll be honest with you, Terrence. Like, I understand you thought that Jeff did a good job, and it's gonna be just a difference of opinion between me and you. But I'm just not a fan of that kind of stuff. Like, I like the breathless pace, the like game after game after game after game. Like, I don't want a lot of people on
That's
screen,
fair.
and I really don't like having the host talk too much either. Like, get off the stage. Like, for the game awards, when it's like we're focusing on the awards, that's one thing. If it's one game, and it's like one developer, and we're trying to like talk to the developers, that's another thing. I'm like, okay, that's cool too. You can have the developers talk, like, like Starfield, and we're gonna get into that later. Like, that's fine, like having the developers talk then. But when it's one of these, it's like, don't just assume that just because this game is big that everybody's gonna be interested in it. Like, what's hot to one person is not hot to the next person. And so when you drag it out and you have, Nick Cage on stage talking to, like, oh, no, I just wanted to make sure that me and the player felt like we were one, or whatever the fuck. Or when you have Ed Boon, like, that shit was necessary. Like, it was legitimately interesting information if you're an MK fan. But if you're not, then it's like, man, this dude's on stage for a while, bro. Like, I really would like for you to move on. And like,
Excuse me.
He gets 8
All right.
out of 10.
all right.
Keep it in.
Hey. He's gonna hit one of them homer bells. Did you have one? What's that drink he had? That beer? Did you drink his
Bro,
beer?
he had a Duff. He had the Duff.
That man
Yeah.
had a Duff. Hey.
You might as well keep that in. It is what it is,
Keep
bro.
it in.
In fact, actually, definitely keep that in.
That man he had 2 Duffs.
About to go home and choke the shit out of Bart, bro.
I hereby call you Duff Man. There you go.
Taking them to
All
Duff
right, my
City.
bad, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bad. I was just like, I'm just saying, like, I just felt like I prefer that breathless pace. And clearly, and Jeff talked about this last year when people were like, you got too many people on stage, you talking too much. And Jeff was like, I kind of like that. I kind of prefer to have like because for a while, like in like the 2016, 2017, 2018, like pre-pandemic E3, there were a lot of conferences that were the way Microsoft's conference was, which y'all saw today, where it was just like breathless pace. We not talking. We just gonna have the game after game after game, and let's just keep going and get it done. But Jeff was like, I don't really like that style, and he really does. Like, despite the criticism he got from last year, he's like, I don't care. Like, I'm finna do my show my way, and I understand, but I'm like, eh. And then like the other thing, they did have their one more thing, and that was really impressive. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, impressive, respectable, but it was so many other big games that weren't here, and that's not Jeff's fault, but it did lead to me being kind of disappointed. It kind of makes me think that publishers and developers feel like, Summer Game Fest cool, but your real show is the Game Awards. Like, if you want something from us at the Game Awards, we'll give it to you. But at SGF, like, we'll throw you a little something. Like, Sony, like, they really had the Brian Enethar from Insomniac. He really came out there to tell you that Spider-Man 2 is coming out October. I'm like,
That was so weird.
Bro, we just had a Sony show. You could have put that release date there. It was like they just threw.
That was so.
It was like
weird.
Jeff talked to Sony and was like, "Hey, can y'all give me something?" He was like, and they was like, "Yeah, we'll throw you a bone. Here's it's Spider-Man release date. No trailer, no nothing, no new footage, just release date." Like, the only interesting thing that you learned,
the game.
they did show the cover of the game, and I'm like, that, and then they let you know that Eddie Brock is not Venom, and I thought that was really interesting information. But that could have been done in like an interview with IGN or something like that. But other than that, for me, I thought Prince of Persia looked good, even though I'm not gonna play it. Baldur's Gate 3 looked really good. I might play that depending on what I got going on at the time. Sonic Superstars looked really solid. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis looked really good.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. How forget about that?
You know, it was a phone game. It looked great.
I was just about to say, I'm like,
That's the thing. It's on a phone.
I don't know why it's similarly.
I mean, I just
to,
bought a new phone.
Do you guys not have phones?
I kind of don't. Like, it's my phone old as hell. But like, similarly to Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Jade, I'm like, damn, like, why is this on a phone? Like, why isn't this on PC or something? Like, even if it's like easy, like a low budget PC game, like, and you have to have like a regular piece. Like, it don't necessarily have to be like, no, you gotta have a big gamer Alienware. Like, just put it on PC so people can play it off their phones, bro.
Yeah, do multiple. It's like Honkai Star Rail, like MiHoYo has proved that you can do all of them. So it's like, why limit yourself to just one platform in that regard? It's just weird.
1000%. Banishers, of course, look great. It looked kind of like a lower budget God of War a little bit. Like, it had kind of those vibes, like these big expansive environments you go through, you and your wife, your dead ghost wife or whatever. And like, it did remind me of like and in this case, a upper budget Vampire, which is what that studio was known for. Like, Don't Nod did Vampire.
It looks so much better than Vampire.
It does look a lot better than Vampire. I hope. Like, Vampire was a solid 7. Like, the people who like it really like it. The people who didn't, I mean, like, that's just the definition of a 7, right? But Banishers looked really good. I hope it's as good as it looks. Like a Dragon Gaiden, great to have Kiryu back. Excuse me, Joryu. Great to have Joryu back. He's erasing his name. He's doing he's got his secret agent powers and shit. I'm like, okay, that's fire. So like, I'm happy to have that. I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop that story, because it is like the midway point between Like a Dragon 7 and Like a Dragon 8, which we'll talk about later, surprisingly. One game that me and Keem, we both looked at and we was like, I bet this ain't good. And yet, like, I'm still like, I gotta try it to know it's not good. That damn King Arthur's Legends Rise shit, I'm like, I bet this is trash. But I love Arthurian lore. I love high fantasy. So
love
like,
Arthur, man.
Exactly. Like, I love King Arthur. So I'm like, I gotta try it, see what it's like. If it's trash, it's trash. I mean, it's a free-to-play game. I'll just delete it. But it looked, it looked solid from what I like. Some parts of it look solid. Of course, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I would give this a 6 if not for 7 Rebirth. But like, I didn't expect that to be here at all. And so when it popped up, I was like, oh shit. Hey, I see what y'all doing.
Looks
so
good too.
It looked great. It looked fucking fantastic. So I got to give them a 7 out of 10 just for that alone. Just like, you get the bump up for that. But yeah, all in all, like, I really hope that this is better than last year. Like, at first I was like, this shit just trash like last year. But then I thought about what was at last year's and how they really came out there and wasted like 20 minutes talking about the Last of Us TV show. And, they did have Anthony Mackie getting back shots from Sweet Tooth to the thong song or whatever the fuck was going on. And I was like, all right, look, man, I didn't need that clip. Bro's up in there looking like Heidenreich. But I was like, you know what?
Good reference.
Thank you. That's Tim that actually brought it up. But I was like, that's exactly what it looked like. But I mean, like, that was brief. It was only like a 2-minute clip and then we moved on. It wasn't like The Last of Us where they just dragged it out. And it was a remake of a game that nobody was asking for a remake, as opposed to like everybody wants Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. So this is growth from last year. And if next year is better than this year, then we on to something. So we be off to the races. Rakeem, what did you think?
Oh yeah. So I wrote a few notes down. First of all, Prince of Persia blew me away. I was like, whoa. When I first saw it, I was just like you guys, like, I don't quite know what this is, but the action was so fast and frenetic. But once I saw the main protagonist and like the color scheme and the hair and like how it was more of a side view type game, almost like it looked more actiony than like a traditional like platformer. But as soon as I saw like how it was made, I was like, oh, this is like a new age version of old Prince of Persia with like super hyper fast combat. That's a very interesting take. And it was really refreshing because we all remember last time we saw Prince of Persia was that god awful remake trailer that everybody trashed on and nobody liked. And to the point where they just took it down and say, our bad, we'll go back and do better. They did better, but it's a completely different game. And also they're still working on that remake probably. So that blew me away. And then moving from that, I think right after that was MK. Was right after that was like one thing in between that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk from the perspective of a Mortal Kombat fan. Man, everything in this game pops. This game has there's a very specific direction this game has visually, where they want you to invoke like the colors and get engrossed in the backgrounds and everything, going to the old school, like a good blend of like new age graphics, but the old school tone and like the colors and how colorful MK used to be. Cause I feel like over the years, MK kind of got a little, I ain't gonna say generic with their color scheme, but kind of a little bit blander, a little bit more plain in certain instances. Washed out. That's a great way of saying it. And this game is returning back to like, hey, we were a colorful franchise. This franchise had a 90s kids cartoon, and everybody used to have colorful green and blue and purple and spandex and exercise, and that's what this game is. Like, with the assist commands, I liked how all of the cameo characters in this game's the first MK is going to have like this, the main mechanic is a cameo assist system. All the cameo characters are kind of harkening back to their original designs. So it's a breath of fresh air to add in like the old school to new school. Man, that game blew me away. I'm excited. I combed the internet for like 2 days and watched every bit of footage I could find on that game, understand mechanics and everything. Normal person will not do this, obviously, but as a hardcore fighting game fan, MK fan, I had to do it. MK looked awesome. Another game that stood out to me was Sandland, the game based off the Akira Toriyama. I think it was like a one-off manga, one-shot manga, something like that. And it has a cool style, this whole kind of desert punk feel to it. It seems like it's gonna have like this like tank combat and like battles in the desert, very different themes. And you know what? That's cool, man. That art style, it was very striking. It reminded me of like immediate like Dragon Quest, because Akira Toriyama style just translates to like color and like 3D so much better than a lot of other games do. Sometimes you get like 3D graphics on like anime style inspired stuff. It doesn't look right. Like it looks kind of weird or like plastic. His stuff looks something, I don't know, it like kind of pops more. I just like how it looks. Looks playful, looks interesting. So that game kind of stood out to me. I want to see more from that and see how it develops. I think it's also getting the anime adaptation as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that was one that stood out to me. So I brought those three up because those were like three that really stood out for me early. A lot of this conference, kind of like Sage says, there wasn't a lot of heavy hitters. A lot of this conference was mainly like establishing release dates for certain games, commercials, and it felt very corporate after a while. Like we seeing like TV shows and people on stage and Nicolas Cage, and we talked about that earlier. And once I saw it again, I kind of agree with you, Sage. If at first it felt like those first two games like got me, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a great conference. And then kind of the tone did kind of slow down. Yeah,
that's the weakness of a Jeff concert, of a Jeff conference. It tends to be like the first 2, 3, maybe 4 games will be like banger, 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 and then he'll like screech to a halt and never really get his momentum back.
Everything be good, then he just go.
Yeah. So like the middle of this conference did kind of slow down for me, and I was like, I kind of feel like I've gotten what I wanted. Yeah, Spider-Man got a release date. I was only gonna get that anyway. Yeah. That's not super exciting to see. I did see Remnant 2. That's a game I'm excited for. Of course, it's a lesser known game, but I really enjoyed the first game. It was a sleeper hit for me. I think it came out during the pandemic or right before the pandemic, like 2019, 2020.
I think it was before, yeah.
Yeah, it was a sleeper hit for me. I did not know it was going to be as good as it was. I love that game. Remnant was very good. Seeing the sequel get a release date, and it's soon too. I think July. I was very happy to see that. So I'm excited for Remnant 2 very much. So I can't wait to delve back into that game and die over again. After that, I have to shout out. You guys may have mentioned this before. Sonic Superstars look great to me. It looks so fun. Isn't it nice to see a Sonic game? And there was nothing in my mind that went like you see a Sonic game in 3D, be like, it looks okay. It might be good. And then you play like, okay, this was decent. This didn't feel like that. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy this. There was no point I saw in that trailer I was like, oh, this looks kind of iffy. This looked good. like it has a 2D style, but it mixed in like a lot of different elements to it. So I started with like levels where like the perspective was changed, and like there were levels they went from like some 2D elements to 3D elements. And Sonic has kind of done this before, I believe. They had some older Sonic games that kind of mixed the two together. I forgot what that Sonic game was called. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Think about
Generations might have done something somewhat like this before. But to be honest with you, when I saw this, I said this at the time, like, I like this more than when I saw from Frontiers. I think I would enjoy this more than Frontiers personally. Oh, wow. But I'm not a big Sonic fan though. So I played a lot of it when I was a kid, but I kind of fell off the series when we went into the 3D era. I mean, the last game I really played was probably, honestly, well, actually, no, I played Sonic Generations. I did play that. So I played a little bit of that, but that type of Sonic is what I'm more looking forward to. Go ahead, Terrence.
I'll just say about the Sonic game is my only concern, and it's a very specific concern, is that I hope that they don't bring back the physics from Sonic 4, because when they did try to remake, well, not remake, but they tried to do the 2D Sonic again. This was like years ago, and they did Sonic 4, but the physics for it were not like the older games, so it felt very sluggish and kind of stiff. I just hope that this game isn't like that. It kind of looks like it has a little bit of shades of that, but I think Sega will hopefully has like learned to not go back to that. But yeah, that's my only concern with that.
Also, why Knuckles running faster than Sonic?
Step the game up, Sonic. Step the game up, Sonic. You know. Yeah, but my last one, I gotta talk about Remake. You know I had to talk about Remake. Oh my goodness. Gorgeous. Adorable. What's Stephen A. Smith words he be using? Spectacular. Box office. It felt like a movie that I was interacting with. I knew this is such a good hallmark for the fans. As they were going through every part, I knew exactly where they were. When they were sitting and like talking, like, I know where y'all are. When they were walking through the environment, I know where y'all are. When they went to the Chocobo, like, oh yeah, Cosmo Canyon, there it is. I'm like, that's what I want to see. And it looked so good. I'm interested in seeing like it's like they added in a tag team mechanics that were brought in with the DLC with Yuffie's side story. That's gonna be kind of cool to play with tag team. I love tag team moves. Tag team moves always make the game better for me. Trails of Azure, I'm playing. Yeah, Chrono Trigger. I'm playing Trails of Azure. Tag team moves, love them. Man, what I'm interested in the most, I guess, with this game is that we know that they're going on this trajectory of giving you kind of what you want and what you expect, and then going completely left at certain points. I want to see what that looks like. Like, what is the vision for like the new experience you want us to portray out of this? What are the twists and turns that are going to happen? You know, in the last game, there were some parts where characters who should have died may have not died, or characters that weren't supposed to be where they were supposed to be, or got hurt when they weren't supposed to get hurt. So it kind of twisted what your memory of the game was. It's kind of cool. It's like you become like Cloud, where you saw a vision when you were a kid, and then all of a sudden when you play the game, it didn't go the way you remembered it. You kind of become Cloud in that instance, which is an interesting take on that. So so yeah, I am so interested in seeing the direction of this game. I think it's gonna knock it out the park. I can't wait. Go ahead, Sage.
Keem, did you finish Crisis Core?
I have not finished it. I mean, I played the original and beat it, but I didn't play the
Well, I mean, I think they made some changes to this new Crisis Core. That's why I asked.
Okay, I probably do need to go ahead and finish that, because you're right. I believe they did make some changes to like the ending and it might tie into the remake.
Right,
so yeah, I might go ahead and finish it, but I did not finish that. Go ahead, Devin.
Well, I mentioned you came that they already hinted at something at the end when it was like Sephiroth was like, I killed her, but who is she? I'm like,
oh, in the trailer, yeah.
You talking about Tifa? I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm looking like.
If anything, that's getting into like more, because you could see that that's maybe like you could also say maybe that is Sephiroth playing with Cloud's head again. It's like got him thinking and like, wait, can I trust Tifa? There's so much going on with that trailer. It's like you could do one hell of a deep. I mean, Max Dude has already done like a whole deep dive on it.
Man, when that trailer came on, he went to screaming. I was like, yeah,
man,
he's ready.
And so am I. And so am I.
So am I.
All right, well, I think that's we got our summer.
Well, I guess we got to get our rating from Rakeem real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with what Sage said earlier. I felt exactly like you did, Sage. 7. I felt like it started really strong because I love the first two, The middle kind of got bogged down. Once I looked at it again, you were right. We had a conversation earlier when it happened, and I kind of disagree, but it is kind of bogged down a little bit in the middle. And I felt like it was very average because there weren't a lot of like knockouts until the very end. So we'll talk about another conference where I feel like they did the complete opposite. So,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, today we had the Xbox Game Showcase, and we've talked about this. We talked about how Xbox desperately needs a win. I want to know, do y'all think they got it? Do y'all think they finally got where they needed to get? Terrence, what do you think? Like, what games stood out to you? What would you give the conference?
Man, so I'll give it up to Xbox. They've been kind of like the punching bag of out of the big three, they've been the punching bag this year. You know, Nintendo does Nintendo, so you know they don't really count sometimes. And Sony, they've definitely been at the top of the hill despite the setbacks with their showcase. They're still considered number one in like the console wars at the moment. And Xbox, like you said, Sage, they needed some W's, and I think for the most part they did deliver with this conference. There was a lot of really good stuff here. Stuff that what I'm glad to see is that a lot of the stuff they showed were from their first parties. In stark contrast to Sony, where you know they had the whole thing with Sony where at the end of the conference, Xbox tweeted about, all these games are coming to us as well. And it's like, damn, they got you all with that one. They can't really do that with this one. Sure, there were some games that are cross-platform, but for the most part, the ones that were like the big surprises, they're going to be Xbox exclusives. For me, one of the big standouts was it's South by Midnight, right? Is that what the game is called?
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight, yeah. That one, I mean, it came in with this really cool like claymation style. We didn't see any gameplay from it, but it looks interesting. I mean, it has a black female protagonist, so that's really dope. I mean, shout outs to that. I mean, I'll keep that on my radar for that reason alone.
Yes, sir.
Of course, they went into a deep dive with Starfield, which I mean, that game, it looks like it's going to be a game. My only concern with it is how well it's going to run, because you could definitely you could tell from the footage that it was.
I can tell you now, it's supposed to be locked at 30.
Locked at 30, so it's not going to have a performance mode. So pretty much the same thing as Redfall.
And I mean, like, I knew as the games got prettier, eventually we was going to go right back to that.
Yeah. I guess my only hope is that if you're going to keep that 30, make it a stable 30. Don't let it be like dipping throughout certain areas.
22 randomly.
Which I think inevitably that's, I mean, it's a Bethesda game after all. It has to have something wrong with it. So I think inevitably that's going to be the issue.
Even their best games have something wrong with them.
Yeah. I'll say this. As long as the game is, I think Max actually put it this way, is that as long as the game is like 75% functioning, I think people will be okay. Like, because some stuff they'll fix over time. I mean, heck, they were able to turn around Fallout 76. So as long as Starfield isn't broken, I think that's the thing. As long as it's not broken at launch, like you can actually play the game and get from point A to point B to C, etc., without it just completely bugging out or like crashing, then I think it'll be fine. Do I think that it'll be like a high 90s kind of game? No, it's probably along the lines of what you said earlier this year, Sage, or maybe even last year, where it's probably going to be in like that 80s range somewhere. But yeah, that game looks impressive, and Xbox needs that W. That game needs to be good, because if that game isn't good, then this year is going to be a pretty bad one for Xbox. And also they have Forza. I mean, Forza is Forza. It looks good. Shoot, I don't actually have a lot of the other games written down, but I will say just overall, I think they had a really good showcase. Probably my biggest gripe is, even though most of the games had like in-engine stuff, and, you know, they said before the show that, you know, none of it is going to be like CG trailers. That was like, they're not CG trailers in a very technical sense. You know, there was
there's a difference between CG and in-engine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
But what you're saying is there was no gameplay, or there wasn't enough gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, while they weren't CG trailers, most of them, it still wasn't like showing us the actual game. It was more so like, this is the concept of the game. is coming at this projected date, or maybe even we don't have a date at all. I know there was one game that looked like BioShock. And forgive me, I don't have the names in front of me, but there was one game that
you talking about the In Exile game?
Clockwork Revolution.
Clockwork. Yeah. That game, it was like in due time, which is like, well, shit.
I'm saying, like,
I think that was smart of them. Like, you need a one more thing. They've been working on that for a while now, In Exile. But that probably is 2025. It's like the fact that they didn't put a date on it lets you know, or a year. The fact they didn't put a year on it lets you know, like, we don't know when this is coming out. So
we don't know.
Yeah.
So
In the case of something like Hellblade 2, we got another trailer for it, but okay, I'll say this. There were people saying that I'll agree that the trailer didn't show any more gameplay than what we saw last time. I think that was a bit of an error, but at the same time, what they did show, I mean, it's very true to the first game. Like, the experience that you get with the first game in terms of like the different voices that Senua is hearing in her head, that's how that first game is. And if anything, it just showed that this game is going to be just as much of that, which is really cool. That's what made the first game stand out. But the fact that game still isn't coming out, it's coming out next year, and they still don't have like any kind of release date for it. I get it. I know that the game is probably still needs some like fine tuning to it, but man, it's been a while. It's that. Yeah. Do you got something?
Yeah. So, I saw something online. Somebody, I was looking at some tweet, and somebody was complaining about a lack of a release date. And then I looked down below, and there was like a journalist who was like, yeah, that game's not going to get a release date until it's like a couple of months out, and neither is any other game from now on. And I was like, and I sat there and I thought about it, and I realized that a lot of games don't have release dates anymore. Like, a lot of games, they don't seem to be getting like a firm release date until like a couple of months out now. And I think that might be what we're doing going forward.
It's good that you brought that up, because that's actually something that I was going to say, is that I think where we are at that point in the industry where, because things are so unknown, these games take so long to make.
Delayed.
Yeah, when you get it announce a delay, people either are okay with it or they're angry. So it's like, you know what? Rather than deal with any of that, just don't announce a date. Maybe announce a release window or release year, and just kind of go from there. Like, nothing hard until the game is like toward its gold stage, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
What game was it that went gold and still had to delay? And I was like, shit, I didn't even know that was possible. But there was some game not too long ago that went gold, and then it was like, yeah, we still delayed. I'm like,
technically, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, it got delayed a little bit, but you could also argue that was because of the pandemic, because maybe the copies weren't quite ready.
How long was that delay? Because I'm talking about like a proper delay.
That was like
2 weeks.
Yeah. That was like 3 weeks, unless you're talking
No. I'm talking about months. Like, the game went gold, and then months later they were like, the game went gold, and they were like, actually, never mind that gold. It's gonna be some months. And I was like,
oh Lord,
I can't remember which game it was, but I know that, like, I had never heard of that before, and now apparently it's just like, so yeah, I think it does make sense that they are like more and more afraid to give out release dates.
I feel like I know what game you're talking about, but yeah, I can't quite nail it off the top of my head.
What's it, Cyberpunk?
It's not worth the backlash.
No, I definitely wasn't Cyberpunk.
I'm trying to think.
That was the problem. That shit didn't get delayed enough.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of good stuff at this show. I despite the fact that there wasn't as much gameplay as I would like, I think Xbox showed enough to prove that 2024 is going to be a good year for them. They're really banking on Forza and Starfield, which is, it's fine. I mean, Sony, they're pretty much banking on Spider-Man for the end of this year unless they reveal something else. So, I mean, they're pretty much in the same boat. So
16, they just relied on 16.
Yeah. If anything, this was a good showcase for what is coming this year, but also what's to come in the future. So if you were thinking about buying an Xbox and what you saw here interested you, then now's a good time. I mean, yeah, you have Fable, you have Hellblade 2, you have like a lot of Obsidian, the game that they're working on.
Avowed.
Yeah, Avowed.
Oh.
There was really good stuff here that
you have
I
Microsoft
think,
Flight Simulator.
You know what?
wow.
That game
Bathroom
looks good.
It looked great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
for
graphically,
those
it
who
looked
like,
great.
yeah, for those who like those games, which I mean, if we're being honest, a lot of those sim games, they're way more popular than people like to give them credit for.
They are more
So-
popular. They are.
They're way
Yeah.
more popular than people give them credit for.
They got the
Um,
Doom
correct.
crossover.
That's fair.
So I
Yeah,
think,
that Dune crossover looked pretty good too. So
yeah, I think.
That was-
that
now that
Sea
was
of
a big
Thieves and
surprise.
the Monkey Island one.
Oh
Sea
my
of Thieves,
god!
the Legend of
Oh,
Monkey
Yeah,
Island.
that
As soon
crossover.
as I saw the protagonist of Monkey Island, I was like,
Yeah.
I fucked with Monkey Island when I was a kid.
As soon as like
Yeah,
that
this-
fog rolled back, I was like, "Oh, they're going to Monkey Island. That's dope. I like that."
This fire.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I saw Rare cross Lucasfilms, I was like, Lucasfilms, like Star Wars? And then they showed the island. I was like, oh yeah, Monkey Island.
I look like a whole fool on stream because I said the same thing. I was like, see if these crossing over Star Wars. Hey, and I was
I'm pretty
like,
sure
wait a minute,
everybody
that don't
thought
make no
that.
damn sense.
Nobody immediately thought of Monkey Island.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Because I was Monkey Island. I'm the only person.
Yeah, you're the only one in the world.
Yeah, you the only one,
Rakeem
bro.
built
I'll take
different.
it for me.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but anyway, I feel like I've gone on too long. I'll say I would give this show. Part of me wants to give it an 8.5, but I'm gonna give it a very solid 8. And the only reason is because some of that stuff is still a little ways away. It's disappointing to see that some of those games that we were thinking would come this year aren't coming. They're gonna be held off until 2024 or maybe even later. And there just wasn't as much gameplay for some of those games as I would like. But overall, I think this was definitely the best conference out of anything that out of the big conferences, out of like the PlayStation, the Summer Games Fest. I can't say anything about the others, but I think that out of those, this was the best conference out of all of them. So yeah, a very solid 8, and I give a big thumbs up to Microsoft. I think that they did a good job with this one.
All right.
Devin, what did you think, man? What did you think? What would you rate it? What games did you see and you were like, okay, I'm interested in this?
First I gotta say, man, Xbox, they looked at Sony and was like, they told them, I won't let you get away with this. So
I'm using
must
that
say,
as a
man,
clip, definitely.
Please do. It was like, no, Sony, we can't let you do it to us, man. First off, I just want to say that I do think this was definitely a W. I will say first, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Terrence. I do agree that some of the things that I saw, specifically, number one for me, South of Midnight, there was no gameplay, and that was one of them. That's one on my list. Like, this looks really interesting. Man, I wish I could have seen some gameplay. It almost looks like they could have been slightly in engine, maybe.
Oh, no.
but-
Everything at the conference had
Was
to
in
either be
engine.
gameplay or an engine.
Okay, that's right. Because they did show the
Okay.
little disclaimer at the bottom. So I was looking. I was like, these look like in-game models. I'm like, this looks really good. Also, it looked like it take place in Mississippi. So I mean, I'm like, dang, that's wow.
I mean,
Like,
that's
The setting is
Um,
the
It's
American
gonna
South.
be in
for
the
sure.
Delta, or maybe like I guess not Mississippi, maybe
we're
like,
gonna be
like,
in
like
Greenwood,
the
man.
Bayou or something.
yeah, maybe there.
It's gonna be in Greenwood, man.
Hey, that's
man. Me in Greenville, man. That'd be fire.
And over there, that's where the GameStop used to be.
And that also that dude was singing his butt off. Whoever they got to sing,
He
that
was.
man was. I'm like, hold on now, like what? So that looked really cool. I think that's gonna be interesting. I'm really ready to see more on that. Metaphor looked great. Like just the new IP from the people that did Persona with 3, 4, and 5. That looked fire. Art style was dope. I love RPGs, so anytime I see a new RPG looks dope, I'm like, I'm all with it. One that really stuck out to me, Dungeons of Hinterberg.
That
That
did look good.
Really good.
Yeah, that
Art
looked
style. The game, it was almost kind of like, it was something kind of like what's the game of the I forgot the name of that game that we saw last PlayStation Showcase with like the 2D/3D game. I can't remember that.
Squire?
Yeah, Squire.
Plucky.
Plucky Squire.
Yeah.
Because it's like she
Yeah.
was doing like 3D hack and slash like Dante. Then it was like she was side scrolling, and I'm like, there's a lot of different stuff going on. But it looked amazing. That looked pretty cool. Towerborn, definitely. I'm almost. I feel like King like this one because it had like a Castle Crashers kind of vibe. It was like
Yeah.
multiplayer. It looked really cool. Because when it showed that it was from the people that did the Bannerstock, I'm like, I never was really interested in those games. I thought it was gonna be
Oh.
something like that. And I was
Right.
like, oh,
It was completely different from that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
I was
not-
very
yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that's why it threw me off. I'm like, oh, Banner, I ain't really too high on that, but I was like, oh, this look kind of cool.
It's a beat 'em up
Um,
RPG.
Yeah, that looked pretty fire. Clockwork Revolution, of course, it's like at this point, there's a certain like archetype of game you can just tell what it's gonna be. At this point, we've seen like so many Bioshock like games, like because Rakeem had mentioned
Infinite.
It has a name, immersive sim. It's immersive sim. As a genre. Nobody knows that genre because it's not said enough, but it's immersive.
It's called the Bioshock
steampunk immersive sim, I guess.
It's called the Bioshock genre because bro, when you see that style like this, because when you had told me before I watched the conference, I think it was King said there's some game like Clockwork something with like a Bioshock game, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's what it was. I just saw like a little stand with like a carousel and something, like a music player. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks interesting. Got a black protagonist, it seems. You know, she out there with some type of weird looking weapons. They always have some crazy looking weapons in this game, some with time and space.
Okay, so cool. Clockwork Revolution, it's got like a protagonist that can alter time, basically. And as she alters time, like you start messing up parts of the city, and then also you find out that the villain has been like basically doing a reverse flash type, flashpoint type shit, where they basically have been forcibly keeping the time stream to be this one way.
Man,
also, by the way, it's not an immersive sim; it's an action RPG.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
It's hard to blur together at this point.
Fair point.
His name. Path of the Goddess looked very good. I mean, you know, Capcom out here just what's the meme with Floyd Mayweather throwing the L's? It's like, dude, he got W's. It's like they should make a new meme, and Capcom just got W's.
They got a meme for that. Dub so big I can't even hold it, boss man.
That is a meme, yeah.
Dub so big I have to armor myself.
Like that looks phenomenal. Just seeing something new. It definitely gave me Okami vibes. It's almost like they kind of merged Okami and Onimusha together. Because even I thought it in King was like a game with demons and samurais and ain't Onimusha. I'm like, I really wish. I honestly, if they would just give me one more game, just give me Onimusha. If y'all do one more remake or something like that, just make it be Onimusha. Y'all have killed it with the Resident Evil series. Just give us one more. It ain't got to be Onimusha 5. Just give us a remake. Like that's one of the most beloved series from Capcom. But they just like, nah, not Onimusha. We're gonna keep Path of Goddess. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it looks cool though.
It seems like Capcom is giving us like these games that are remakes of old games, but not quite. It's like when we saw Exo Primal, it's like, oh man, it's Dino Crisis. Wait,
it's almost Dino
Crisis.
That is definitely what I said when I was watching the stream. I was like, not Dino Crisis. I was like, okay, they gave us not Dino Crisis, and now they giving us not Onimusha and not Okami. I guess I don't know.
They're giving us XPs of their old stuff.
Yep. They're gonna release a Not Beautiful Joe game. Like, oh, that's kind of like like Beautiful Joe, which they could. They should do that. Capcom, let's go. But that was Clover Studios, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be called Common Keem.
Clover did Beautiful Joe and Okami.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been waiting on somebody to do a Sentai game that's not like with all that chibi shit. So if they can do that, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I guess the closest thing we got was what was it? What was that game with the 100?
Wonderful 101.
Wonderful 100. 101.
It still kind of had that chibi style. So
yeah, it definitely had like a.
Beautiful Joe is kind of chibi a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like malformed. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, this was actually like I want to say the first thing they showed, or the second thing was a Fable. Like Terrence said, we kind of got like a somewhat of a mix, more conceptual, but it was like it was gameplay. But they didn't.
There's definitely a couple of shots in there where I'm like, that's clearly how this game is going to look when you play.
Yeah.
And I was
like when the dude threw out the little fireball, or the girl threw out the fireball. I was like, that's gameplay.
So I was like, if this is actually how it looks, is running like in engine, like this could be a hit. If they hit on all cylinders with something like Fable, which was a Xbox, a phenomenal critically acclaimed Xbox game. If they make this new one good, that's gonna be a super W for Xbox. They got some new stuff going on. I'm kind of curious what's going on because you got a dude that was like telling stories because a guy was like saying some stuff and then he was like huge. And then she walks in and like now he's fighting. I'm like, what is this like Little Nightmare? I thought it was Fable.
it was like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, something like so. If it makes me think that they're maybe doing some stories. So I don't know, but it looks pretty good. I'm interested in it. We finally got more than just them showing us Tinkerbell on the screen, so I'm happy for that. But yeah, I think this conference, I'm gonna just say I would say 8.5 just because it showed a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff. I mean, they a huge deep dive into Starfield. Starfield looking like he might be shaping up to be pretty good. Again, I do agree with Terrence. Like Bethesda's known for the glitches and stuff, the errors, but maybe this will have a smooth launch. I hope it does well because it's looking like it's. If they, like I said, they hit with certain games like this is going to be a success for Xbox. And they dove into Starfield, like almost about half the show was Starfield. But yeah, I would give it an 8.5. I'm glad that they didn't show no Halo, no. Well, they showed Forza. You know, it's like we can't get away from Forza. Hey man, you're gonna drive these cars, man. I don't care. we got Fables and Path of Goddess and all that. You gonna get in this car and drive.
Vroom, vroom.
So I would give it 8.5. It was a solid show, man.
I'm gonna say that I'm very high on this one. Xbox. Okay, so first off, Xbox has been given to me solid game conferences for years now. Like I don't really go to, and I this might be a little different than everybody else. Like I don't really watch to see like the exclusives. The exclusives are the bonus, and they're important. But like I just really, when I sit down to watch a game conference, I'm like, okay, how many games are you gonna show? Can you pace it correctly? Can you hold my interest? Is there ever going to be a point where I'm like, hey, y'all still talking about this? Like, get this man off the stage. We've been talking about FIFA for 15 minutes. Like, come on, man, wrap it on up. Oh my God, I can't believe Powers is still on the screen. Like, bro, this TV show, it ain't a video game. Like, let's move on. Like, that's the thing that I think about. And Xbox, since about 2014, has been able to like pace their conferences well. They have a lot of games. A lot of times the problem was always that it was like third-party games. So they'd show up and, you know, they'd be like, surprise, bitch, here's Kingdom Hearts 3, or surprise, here's, you know, Devil May Cry 5, or Dragon Ball Fighters, or something like that. And like, those are moments that you get hyped for, but they're not moments you get hyped to buy an Xbox for. But I mean, like, you know, I'm not really worried about what console I'm going to get, and I don't really care about the console wars. I just show up to be like, oh, shit, they had that, and that makes me think higher of your conference, right? And so, like, with Xbox, I feel like they always have good conferences, and I think this isn't really any different. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I really have very few notes. I docked at a point because when I came in, they were like, oh, it's going to be 2 hours. And I was like, oh, and I think I read somewhere that Starfield was going to be like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got like an hour and a half of Xbox Game Showcase, and I was just getting into it. We got about 25 games in. And I was like, oh, yeah, you know, we got another 30 minutes of this. Oh man, they whooping ass. Like this is easily. And then like Phil Spencer came out there and started talking and monologue, and I said, oh shit, it sounded like he about to wrap it on up. And sure enough, he wrapped it on up. He had this little announcement about Xbox having like a bigger hard drive for their shit. And I'm like, man, just go get a fucking
Series S, yeah.
Yeah, for the Series S, is like a bigger hard drive for the Series S. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's cool. And then like he showed off Clockwork, I keep forgetting his name. Clockwork Revolution. And then he was like, yep, I'm up out of here. And then, you know, Starfield, they had their 45-minute whatever, which looked great. You know, it looked amazing. It was a really breathless pace throughout though, like for the whole conference. Just like everybody knew when to shut the fuck up. You know, they had Keanu Reeves on there, and you barely remember it. I mean, he had fun with it. You know, he ran off the stage in like a little funny way. He was enjoying himself. But like, it never felt like I was just like held hostage about one game that I'm like, I kind of don't care about this game. Let's move on. Like you know, that all of that kind of stuff that's best kept to like separate videos on YouTube. You didn't have that problem. Fable looked amazing. I do want to see more of that because like Xbox showed a lot of RPGs, but like if I'm talking about me personally, I don't play first-person games. I don't care about first-person games. So like they showed Clockwork Revolution and they showed Avowed, and it's like both of these are first-person games. And I checked out the second I saw like the close-up screen with the disembodied hands. I was like, all right, I don't care about this. But Fable is a traditional third-person action RPG. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, all right, I'm in. I really wish I could have found out more about it. I really wish that there was like a deep, because there is another Xbox deep dive. I think Tuesday.
Tomorrow. Was it
tomorrow?
Tuesday?
Okay, I forget. Yeah. Actually, can somebody check on that for me? This is like the Xbox
extended event.
Extended. Yeah. I think it's on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, the 13th. Okay. Yeah, so it's on Tuesday. 13th. So like,
okay.
I mean, like, I wish that Fable was that. Like, I would love to see more of it, but I mean, like, that's, not how that's going to turn out. South of Midnight, I thought looked great. That's going to be set in like the, American Southwest or American South, excuse me. And that looked really cool. It seemed like they was messing around with like the ideas of voodoo and like that type shit. And I was like, okay, that's some shit that we've never really done before. If you've never heard of Compulsion Games, they handle We Happy Few. The game about the dude, he was taking the drugs, trying to look happy, and then as soon as he got off the drugs, you could see that everything around him was all effed up. Like, that's what that is.
Cool idea.
It's a great idea, and I hope that they have like some kind of mind-bending, cool ideas like that in South of Midnight. The one game that I saw that like really stood out, Star Wars Outlaws. I was surprised. I popped huge for that. I was like, holy shit. I mean, I've been wanting an open world Star Wars game or open world sci-fi space opera game for like ages, and this looks like it's gonna be the one. So I was really happy about that. The one that really shocked the shit out of me, though, well, two games that really shocked the shit out of me, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I was like, yo, what? Because I had no idea. Like, you never really know when a company announces two games at once. You never really know how they're gonna promote those going forward. Like, as the release date of one gets closer, you're like, okay, well, I may not be hearing about the other one, even though like that might be the game that you're more excited for. So like with Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake, I'm more excited for 7 Remake personally. Because I'm like 16, I'm kind of like, I'm still on the fence about that one. But 7 Remake, I enjoyed that, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. So I wasn't sure if they were going to show that here with Like a Dragon Gaiden. Like, I want to play Joryu, but I also really loved Ichiban. So I was like looking forward. I'm like, what's the next big mainline game? And I wasn't sure if they were going to show it at the RGG Summit. And then all of a sudden, he just pops up with a great trailer, like hilarious trailer. Just the whole time, he's just like walking around, clearly naked, and then just like artfully managing to keep, his meat hidden and all that. I'm like, okay, that's what's up. So that was really great. Metaphor ReFantazio. I knew as soon as they showed the emblem, I said, Project ReFantasy, that shit back? And then that game had been missing for like 6 years. Like the first time you saw it was in 2017, and they didn't show anything. They just had like some vague concept art, and then they said nothing. Like nothing at all for years and years and years. And finally it pops up here, and I'm like, holy crap. And it looked pretty solid. So I mean, like, I'm not usually an Atlas guy, but it looked solid. So I was impressed by that. And just even like I said, like the pace that they kept, even when there were games like Fallout 76, which actually had like a pretty creative trailer, but like when they did like the Atlantic City thing, I was like, sure, like, okay. And I was bopping along to the song and whatnot, and they got us out of there. And so like I just don't have anything bad to say about this conference. Like even the 9 out of 10, like I docked to the point because I was like disappointed because I was like, I wanted more of what I was getting. Like I wanted to see, A-Unit Chronicles or some other games that we'll get into later. Yeah. And like that's not on Microsoft. Like that's really more on my expectations. So, but yeah, all in all, solid show. Rakeem, what did you think?
They nailed it. Period. I love this conference. I gotta say, there were so many games. It almost felt like what going to movies in the 90s was like, when you actually look forward to looking at the trailers for each movie before it became annoying and got in the way of you actually seeing the movie you wanted to watch. Like, it felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. I was like, man, it's like all these first party games we're finally getting to see what kind of ideas they're coming out with, from inXile, what Avowed actually looks like, getting to see Fable for the first time in ages, what the new vision for Fable was, because I was a big fan of Fable 2 many, many years ago. Ooh, that was over a decade ago. And I gotta say, man, like I really love that game. And even though I moved away from Xbox as it became later in my gaming years, I always look back at Fable like what they got going on. Of course, Fable 3 and the fiascos with that and what happened in the series afterwards kind of tanked the series for a while. It felt like watching that trailer for Fable, I felt like they were locked in. Like I was like, oh, this is a very confident game. It felt like we know what the tone of this game is. We have a good idea of what our idea of what Fable is. We know what Fable used to be, and there's still elements of that. The comedy that was always there in Fable, the whimsy of it. Now I'm not sure if it's now the only thing I didn't know about was like, or do we have a set character now, or is it like gonna be a created character? I'm not sure if they have any details about that yet. But
from what I've seen, there's no info out about it yet. I'm gonna guess created character though.
Yeah. But yeah, the trailer was really cool, Jack and the Beanstalk. So if the elements they're going with in this game are going to be because before in Fable was like kind of creativity and being the good guy and the bad guy, like interact with each citizen and people's opinions of you and stuff like that. If the tone of this one is actually going through actual fables, that'd be a really cool idea. And like each level or each area of the RPG where you're just going to these different lands and going through and meeting characters from various fables. That's a cool idea. Now, that'd be a tight concept to actually go through. Kind of similar to like, Wolf Among Us in a different way, in a completely different way. But yeah. What is that? I got my list here. South of Midnight. Man, this felt like smooth Louisiana magic. I was like, this is a smooth looking game. I don't know what this game is. I don't know how it's going to play. But this feels smooth, and it gave a great first impression. Just like there's always been this kind of like mysticism about Southern Louisiana and voodoo, bayous and stuff like that for years and years and years. It's been implemented in gaming in various ways. And it's kind of cool that we get a game that's going to be like, this is what this is directly about. It's used in other games like pirate games. Even in Sea of Thieves, we saw like a lady who kind of had voodoo stuff going on a little bit, which has always been associated with like seafaring and pirates. But this is cool. That's the whole theme of the game. And we have a black protagonist, of course. I'm very interested in seeing how that's going to go. Just like you, Sage, Like a Dragon. Man. When I first saw it, I was like, what's Ichiban doing on the beach butt naked? Like, what did he do this time? And I was like, what is the point of this trailer? And I was like, oh my God, he's not in Japan. And I was like, oh, I get it. That's odd. And I think they said they're gonna show gameplay at the RGSS event, like the first gameplay or something like that.
I don't. Nobody said that directly, but that does feel like what you see, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, I get. It's a cool thing when you see a trailer and you're like, that's enough for a whole concept of a game by itself. This man outside of Japan in a foreign land where they don't understand the language, you could do so much with that. That got me excited instantly. I'm super excited to see that game. I got to give a shout out to the Cyberpunk DLC Phantom Liberty, kind of going some more of a deep dive of it. I got to give out a shout out to Cyberpunk. They turned it around too. Then a lot of games these days, some of them figure it out, some of them just die. Cyberpunk figured out like we need to make it right in some kind of way. Eventually, of course, the anime helped out with that considerably and rose the interest back up in the game. And they responded to it by giving the game another update, fixing a lot of issues, and a whole new slew of gamers got to play it in better quality. So that was a good on them for making that right eventually. I even got on to play it. I've been enjoying the game to a degree. I didn't finish it, but I'm interested in finishing, maybe playing this. And I wrote a note down, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty Stringer Bell Simulator, because I don't trust that man Idris Elba in this type of setting. He's going to backstab you. He's going to lie to you. He's going to look in your face. He's going to put the tool in your hands like, you don't do
that. Get to work, soldier.
And as soon as they said in the trailer, like, somebody snitched, I was like, that Stringer Bell. Oh, I should have known. It was him. It's him. I'm spoiling it for everybody. I don't care. It's him. He's the snitch. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that. The kind of concept of like protecting the president and like make sure they survive this situation they're in, and kind of you're dying and trying to save yourself. That's a cool concept to go into a DLC. Pretty intense. It felt very intense the entire time watching that. Man, Star Wars Outlaws. What's that Batista meme? Give me what I want.
Yeah.
I was just yelling on the screen. Give me what I want.
You know what I want.
You know what I want. Audience, me and Sage Ashford, for many, we've been friends for a long time. For many, many years, we have talked at length about sci-fi games and like how there's this weird thing with specifically with like sci-fi and role playing and studios being like outside of Mass Effect.
This conversation last night.
We did. So like seeing Starfield to us, maybe you don't understand like why we're so excited about it. To us, it's like a dream come true. Like just being able to play a role-playing game where I can get in a ship, go into space, fight in space, land on a planet, get out. Literally all of those elements in gaming have been segmented. You have games you just in the ship. You have games you just on land. You have games with like tactics, you just look at the planet. You have games you never get on the planet. It's always segmented. So like just connecting those elements together in gaming that's been so separated for so many years. Of course, games like No Man's Sky have kind of done, but it's more of a sim kind of game, more of a, like you're creating a base, you're farming, you're getting resources. This is the complete package I've always wanted. And I'm a combat guy. I gotta have some combat. No Man's Sky got combat, but it ain't got this combat. That's the combat I want to see.
Definitely ain't got that combat.
Starfield to me is like the culmination of what I've wanted in a space game since I was a little child. That long conference, and basically, let's be honest, the first Xbox conference, it was done. That second conference was its own conference. The Starfield conference, it really was its own conference. They were connected, but they really weren't.
They said it would be.
Conference.
They said it would be two different conferences, basically.
And they weren't lying because it was long. It was like 50 minutes, 45 minutes?
45 minutes.
About 45,
Yeah, so I enjoyed what I saw. They went into excruciating detail about all the systems. And I said this about, anybody who watches these trailers, any of these game trailers. If you see a game for 45 minutes and they go into every system, every planet, every NPC, how the battle's going to be, if you're still on the fence after that, I don't know. This ain't for you. This ain't for you. Figure it out. You don't have to lie to yourself like, hey, man, if you go into a deep dive on the game, you see elements of it. Still not on the fence about it. It's okay. You ain't got to play, bro. It's fine. It's going to be all right. But for me, this was great. I'm in. And this new laptop I bought last year going to be put to work on this game. I'm going to get these settings just right. Oh, yeah.
Man,
these settings get just right for Starfield.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, man, what specs do you need to run that game?
Specs looking like
For Starfield?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be, you're going to need something. Like the real you're going to need some space is what you're going to need.
Yeah, that's the real. But yeah, I am outside of that, I am really excited for Starfield. I'm really excited for Star Wars Outlaws, another game that's kind of like Sci-Fi Arena. I'm also a diehard Star Wars fan. And I gotta say, I'm happy we're getting more Star Wars games because it's like, when I was a kid, there was so many Star Wars games. Because the new generation movies were out. They were even LucasArts had their own game studio, putting games out on their own. Yep. And then that was kind of like, and then like after Force Unleashed, it was like Force Unleashed and like the cameo in Soul Calibur 4, it was like, let's take a break. And that was around the time of Disney acquisition, I believe, too, maybe around that time. And it took a little break, and then around the time EA got into the Star Wars arena, and that was kind of up and down. It took until like, to me, Jedi Fallen Order, when I was like, Star Wars games are back. And I love Fallen Order. I love Jedi Survivor. And this game is exactly also what I wanted, because I wanted something that didn't have to do with Jedi, because the Star Wars universe is so expansive, as you can see, because they've made the war games, they made the flight battle game, and now they're going to more like the Outlaws, the Bandits, the nitty gritty, the underworld of Star Wars. It's so interesting and fun too in its own right. It needs to be respected. And the tone of that trailer looked awesome. I can't wait to see that game, because they did announce that was going to get it at the Ubisoft conference, right?
Absolutely.
I believe that they did.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be watching that like a hawk. I think it's going to come on when I'm at work. I'm going to be like, take a little break. I'll be back in about an hour. Don't worry about it. I'm watching that like a hawk. I can't wait to, oh my God. That's the one. That's the one for me. That Star Wars game, boy, if they knocked out the park, Ubisoft, you might be able to fix yourself, because y'all been in trouble. Y'all been in some trouble.
I feel like I said this. I don't know. I know I didn't say it on the. I might have said it on the podcast where I was like, if Ubisoft is very careful, that whole opinion that is going to do a complete 180. It's not going to take very long. Like, all they got to do is knock out like Prince of Persia, that Star Wars game. Yeah. If that Avatar game is any good, the only game that I'm like, y'all going to be in trouble and everybody's going to think y'all, hadn't got anything fixed is when Skull and Bones is not going to be good. All right,
it's not.
We go ahead, get that out the way. It ain't gonna be good. It's gonna be ass. But like outside of that game, with the games that I mentioned, ass and bones. It's gonna be that. But like outside of that game,
boom. Tell me what you gonna do when your game's gonna be ass. Judgment come for you, girl, go suck for you.
Hey man, I don't know what to tell you. They at the crossroads and they gonna be lonely because that game gonna be ass. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be ass.
But like, there's nobody buying that bitch. But like, other than that game, like Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Project Jade. Jade looks great. I'm so upset that's gonna be on PC on phones only.
That's another one they could put to PC that I think it'll be fine. you could upscale it with your stuff, man. You can make that work.
You could definitely make that work. But other than like, I think Ubisoft has a lot on their plate where I'm like, this could work. And like, if Assassin's Creed Project Red, that the Assassin's Creed in Japan, if that's finally good, like, look, Ghost of Tsushima came out in 2019. It's been a while, so like, you know. But go ahead, Keem.
But those are my main ones. I do want to shout out Metaphor because like when I saw it, I totally forgot about Reef Fantasy. I blanked. When I saw it, I was like, this is literally what I thought. This kind of like mainline Shin Megami Tensei, but this is the Xbox conference. That doesn't make any sense. And I was like, Persona 6, there's no school. What the heck is going on here? Like literally, I was like, is it mainline? Did mainline become multi-plat? Now I was like, are they changing it up? Is it like a crossover game? Now I was like, oh, this is a whole new IP. Like, oh, okay. Now what I liked about like when I saw it from Metaphor, it felt like a traditional Shin Megami Tensei game, but it seemed to have this kind of like kingdom building element. Like you were making these like agreements with different groups and stuff like that, and building upon things. It was so fast I didn't get to quite grasp everything that was happening, but the scale seemed to be pretty big. It seemed to be kind of toned in more fantasy too, because I saw like there was kind of like some elven looking characters. I am very interested in seeing how that game develops because I do like that studio. And I think a lot of people probably hope for Persona 6, but if this is really good, this could open up a whole new avenue of games for them, another IP. Because I mean they're working on Persona 5 Tactica now, and I saw that at a whole bunch of different conferences and it got leaked. So, it was cool too. But you know what's bad? I'm going to say this one and I think I'll be done. When I saw Persona Tactica, I was like, this looks decent. And I'm like, how much money is Square Enix leaving on the table not making Final Fantasy Tactics? That's the first thing I was saying.
It's in the process. Now, the fact they haven't made a sequel is insane, but like they are remaking it or remastering it. I don't know.
They need to do something.
They definitely need to do something.
Everybody getting a piece now, and it ain't them. So you better get in there. But yeah, this conference for me overall was really, really good. I enjoyed the feeling of it. I felt like the new IPs did a good job of like being very varied and different. There was a good feeling to it. There was a lot of like in-game trailers and not so much gameplay with the new games, but like they are new games that like studios they bought recently. So I didn't expect them to be that far along yet. But to me personally, I like some previous Xbox conferences, but this is the one I've liked the most in a very long time for me personally. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
All right.
Will,
what would you give it, and what games stood out to you the most, man?
All right, then. Well, first off, I'm gonna say this. I woke up halfway through it because I sleep like a rock in mud. So yeah, I ended up catching the halfway point of the show, and I caught like the latter half, and then I caught like the Starfield stuff. So I went back and rewatched like the first bit of things that I watched. I was like, let me see what I missed and what I left off, and I seem to miss a lot of the big stuff. And I gotta admit, from the pacing that they had and all the games they put out there, all I can say is, damn, Microsoft, y'all did it. y'all went through and said, we got this. We got this. We know what we got. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but we got this. So they put out all their big names, especially seeing Fable again. Now, mind you, for all y'all Fable fans, I'm sorry, but I did watch a friend of mine play it a long time ago. Watching him play that for like 30 minutes on the couch, I ain't gonna lie to you, I fell straight asleep. Fable kind of bores me, but this new one looking kind of excellent, kind of nice. Maybe it's something I can look forward to in the long run. South of Midnight, everybody in here has said what they need to say about it, and I say the same thing. Saying this house gonna be based in American South, by all means, why not teach me some more about the place and the geographical area I'm living in? Because I wouldn't mind seeing what they got cooked up there and who they got behind and who they got at the helm doing this. I want to see all of that because I think it's going to be a really fun time, interesting. I wonder if they're going to keep that same like art, well, not necessarily art style, but how it looked in the trailer, kind of closer to the game. I want to see how that's going to look in motion with gameplay. That's the one thing I want to see.
Definitely.
That's all I want to see. Like, is it going to be that claymation type of way? Is it going to be that way? I want to see that. And the other games, well, I'm a big Japanese developer type of guy, so I'm going to go ahead and knock out my games that I'm on with. Path of the Goddess. I love the way that game looks, and I love the way it moves in motion. I love everything about that. It's colorful, it's dark, it's grim. I wonder exactly what the story may be about. I'm looking forward to that because Capcom has been swinging for the fences for like all of the past like year and some change. They just been like, yeah, we are taking it to the plate and over the fence every time. We not missing no more. We can't do that no more. I would say Auto Persona, but we knew about that a couple of days ago. So I'm giving prayers and blessings to the person who messed around and put that on Instagram, because I just happened to see that scrolling that day, and I said, "Oh, so this is happening." Didn't expect to see that. It didn't. I was like, November for Tactica, noted. 2024 for 3, noted. By the time I clicked that reel, it was gone. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay. And then the job listing was up like the next day for that spot too. So Atlas was whooping ass and taking names about that. Metaphor, ReFantazio. When I tell you I never yelled finally so hard in my life, I have kept my eyes on when this is going to happen, because I remember this game happening. I wanted it. Like, when am I going to get mine, Atlas? And Atlas said, we sorry, Will. Here you go. We ain't mean to leave you hanging like that. Here's yours. Take it. And everything about that game looks awesome right now. Art style looks amazing. And I'm just ready to put my hands on it. I've seen some of the mechanics spliced in between there in the cutscene with the handshakes for new bonds. I'm like, okay, so they're going to have some Persona-like things here and there, since, you know, teams of 3, 4, and 5 are going to touch base on that. So it's going to be a good time, I would assume. And last but not least, for me, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. The fact this boy done woke up in America.
What is like he in Hawaii, I think.
You know what? If he's in Hawaii, I ain't gonna lie, that kind of do make a little bit of sense, honestly, because Hawaii does keep some bit of a Japanese population there too. So that does kind of help. I can kind of see it if that's where he's at. But him waking up with his nuts out is kind of crazy, and it took the old folks being like, he up here like, what is going on? He up here yelling Nani, and they like, nuts, covered him.
It ain't boy and your meat out. Put it up. It ain't me. It's definitely him.
Yeah, so with the way this is going to be going, I know that this game is going to be crazy good. So I expect them to just give me everything I ask for, everything I need. And to the less I say about Starfield, the better. And that's not a bad thing coming from me, because the game looks great. I love what it has going on. It's good. I don't have an Xbox. I do have a laptop that's pretty good, but I don't think my laptop can handle that. So I'm gonna be kind of sitting here waiting and biding my time until I get an Xbox or something, and maybe I'll see myself playing Starfield, because that's a game. That's a game. That's gonna be a
game for sure.
It's a game. The only thing that really threw me was the release date, because I won't lie to you, my brain was like, this is gonna be like November. I can see it coming out in November or December. But then when that date popped up,
and old release dates for like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games back in the day.
Yeah, but when it said 9/26, I was like, that's kind of close. I didn't expect that.
Man, September and October, man. Woo.
Them 2 months are packed. And I'm sitting here like, do I have a life at this point? Do I really want to? Whatever. But if I had to give a show a rating, definitely about an 8.5. I really don't see much I could dock it for it personally, because I think they did exactly what was supposed to be done. They came in, got out. They didn't stay too long talking to somebody about something. The only thing they did with talking to somebody for too long or keeping people in was in Starfield, but that was necessary because they had to go through the whole team, tell us about all the features, the actions, the customization. That I ain't gonna lie, that game looked customizable as hell. So Starfield looking nice, 8.5 for the conference. If I see you again, Microsoft, do that again. Pull me in.
Okay, one thing I do want to say, Metaphor is supposed to get shown off again later this month, June 20th, I believe. So you'll get like more gameplay, a little more, maybe hopefully like a little discussion with the developers, so you'll get some more information on it. Now, one last thing I wanted to ask y'all, it's a 2-for-1 basically. What was a game you thought would be there that wasn't? And what was like your big surprise, like for between both shows, or really between any of the shows that came out in the last week or so? Devin, what you got for me, man?
So the one that kind of surprised me actually was Prince of Persia. That's probably the biggest one from Summer's Game Fest.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a fan of Prince of Persia. Me and Terrence, like, we he had the games and he used to let me borrow them. So I played the Sands of Time, the trilogy on the in the PS2 era, and I freaking love those games. I actually never played the original OG Prince of Persia, but I played those three and those were phenomenal. Also played the reboot they did on the PS3, which was an average game, slightly above average. It was really repetitive, but it was a good game. Great art style. Reminded me of like Shadow Colossus, but it was just the repetitiveness is what killed that game. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing that just kind of knocked me like, wow, like this is it. Because again, when it came on, I was like, what is this? Because I think somebody mentioned was it Immortals? What's the game called?
Phoenix
Phoenix
Wright.
Wright.
Phoenix, yeah. Because they said something about like some Immortals or something. I'm like, oh, this is. And I was like, wait. When I saw the character, I'm like, nah, I don't know what they're talking about. But this Prince of Persia, I don't know what's going on. But them pants, the sword, that little get up, I'm like, this Prince of Persia. I don't know what it's called.
Color scheme too.
Yeah, the color scheme, just the sand. They showed a lot of sand and stuff. Environment like this Prince of Persia. I don't know what the title is. This Prince of Persia. So yeah, that knocked me off my socks, man. Actually, something that's coming out soon. As far as things that I was hoping that would be there, Cyberpunk, Bomber Cyberpunk was not there. It comes out in August, I believe.
Yes.
And I mean, at this point, because I know it got delayed already. It was supposed to come out in, I want to say it was like June or July, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to come out already, but they delayed it. I mean, I'm super hyped for the game. I would hope to see like at least one more trailer, some footage before the game comes out. There was some event a while back where they had like an actual demo of it, but you could only play it if you were at that event. And some people posted footage of it. It looks like it's ready to come out. I'm a huge Jet Set Radio fan. There's like whispers and rumors about a new actual Jet Set Radio coming out, which is weird that they will like kind of wait till somebody be like, "Hey man, we made y'all game for y'all." I was like, no, not on our watch. We're gonna make another one. I would love that too. I mean, if they do actually make another Jet Set Radio, I'd be down for it because I would be so hyped to see what it looks like on the new technology. Because the thing that I loved about the game was just the art style. Back on Sega Dreamcast, it was like one of the most profound cell shaded games at that time. Probably the only cell shaded game I could even think of, especially at that level. So to be able to see a game like that on this current hardware, that would it'd be phenomenal. So yeah, I was hoping to see that there, but I mean, I'm just ready for the game to come out. So hopefully it's been in the oven enough. I've seen gameplay of it. It looks pretty solid. So hopefully when August comes, it'll be ready to go. But yeah, that not being in any of the conferences, and also,
and I mean, it wasn't at anything. Like I would tell you if it, because I saw all the conferences, all the indie shows, and I don't remember seeing that not even one time. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was even thinking maybe like at more low key like an indie show, but it was nothing. I was like, well, I guess we just won't see it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game, and also Prince of Persia just totally threw me for a loop, man. So those are my two games.
All right. Terrence, what you got for me, man? Like what games? What surprised you the most, and what games you think would be there? And it's like, man, that wasn't there at all.
So I guess I'll say first off, after listening to all of you praise Xbox's conference, that maybe I am a little too low. I'll bump it up a little bit more. I'll bump it up to 8.5 because you are right that it was a really good conference and much better than any of the other conferences that have taken place this month. So yeah, I do agree that I think it is like one of the best conferences so far, and yeah, Xbox really did what they need to do. So yeah, I'll bump it up some more. For me, there's two surprises for me, and I hadn't brought up Metaphor just because I was kind of waiting until this to say so. Yeah, that was a big surprise because, well, for one, it didn't get leaked like Persona 3 and Persona T did.
Oh my goodness, that's true.
When Atlus's logo showed up again, I was like, wait, they have something more? And then, yeah, when they showed the trailer for that, I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I thought about it, I was like, yo, is this that Reawakening game? And it's like, sure enough, that's exactly what it is. So, well, is it Refantasy or Reawakening?
Refantasy.
Refantasy was what it was called.
Cygames.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So Refantasy. Okay. Yeah, but man, it looks good. It's great to see Atlus with another IP, a new IP again. Really like the last time that they did that, I guess, was Catherine. So it's good to see them come out with. I guess from what they're just calling this is like a full-fledged JRPG. Like this is not going to be like Persona in the sense of like in a school and all that good stuff, but full on maybe like in a world and everything. So it'll be cool.
World.
Yeah, in a world. It'll be cool to see Atlas, I guess, essentially go more in like a Final Fantasy VII style direction in terms of having like a full world that you can explore and everything.
Yeah, they really don't do that with most of their games.
Yeah, they don't. That's
Remember
just
that
Atlas's thing. They don't. I mean, it's worked for them so far, but it'll be great to see them go in that direction and see how they handle it.
Right.
I will say the other game that was a big surprise for me, and just in terms of how I like the vibe for it, and I hadn't heard anything about it until now, was Jusant or however you pronounce it. The game with the boy climbing.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jusant. Is it Jusant?
I think so.
Okay, I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if it was meant to
Yeah.
be like French or what, but yeah. That game looks, the art style looks great. It just gives me Journey vibes for some reason. It just reminds me of those kind of games that
Was that Don't Nod?
yes.
Yeah, that was
okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah. It just reminds me of one of those games that just presents a very unique world, and you just get to you're not doing anything over the top. Like it's not an action game. You're not I don't know. It's not one of those games where you're doing a ton of different things, but what you're doing seems very unique and just cool to itself. So I'm very interested to see more of that game. The universe looks great. It's not just an Xbox game. It is coming to PlayStation 5. I checked that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that was one of the big surprises for me at the Xbox show. In terms of what wasn't here, just overall, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, so I'm going to save the one that I have at the top of my head for later. Maybe you have it, Rakeem. But I will say the fact that Pragmata wasn't there, I know we talked about it maybe being there, maybe not. But the fact that it wasn't there and instead Capcom had a completely different game to show, that did kind of throw me off. So that maybe leads me to believe that maybe Pragmata will be showed off later on sometime.
Maybe tomorrow.
I was thinking maybe tomorrow, but I don't know. That might be a little hopium, maybe, if they showed it off tomorrow. Yeah, it could be. It's like a slim chance. But I will say that is impressive that despite the fact that Capcom has this whole other game that they could be doing something with, they decide to show off a new other IP instead and are maybe saving Pragmata for later. That is interesting. So, yeah, I was surprised that wasn't there, but at the same time, I wasn't heavily banking on it being there. If anything, I just hope that it didn't get canceled. You know, I wouldn't mind at least that game, seeing more of that game, or whether it's like reworked into something else or what. But I'd rather they not just flat out cancel it without us like getting a little bit more of a taste for it. But yeah,
Deep Pragmata.
It would be Pragmata.
deep Magna, deep
Yeah.
Mata.
It'd be
Yeah, but-
Pragmata.
That's it for me. It's like Metaphor, Jusant, and the game that we didn't see, Pragmata, but I guess got replaced with something else with Path of the Goddess. You know, that was pretty cool, but it was still kind of disappointing that it wasn't there. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, Will, what you got for us, man? What was your big surprise, and what did you think would be there that was not there?
Well, I'm sitting with Devin on that Prince of Persia, man. I really did not expect that. Like, that was like the most left field, like left hook I ever got in my life, bro. Because like I said, when I seen it, when I was watching it, I literally guessed like 2 or 3 different games that would have featured a character that looked like that in Arabia somewhere. And I'm just sitting here like, who is this? What is this? Where is this? And then I finally said Prince of Persia. Then the title showed. I'm like, oh, Prince of Persia, it exists. Nice. Thank you. So I'm just like, I bet they finally bringing the guy back. We know it's not the prince, but I'm just looking and knowing Prince of Persia is kind of back, but in this kind of style now. Maybe people can kind of pick back up on the series again. Maybe they can kind of get the ball rolling with Prince of Persia one more time, and hopefully it takes off and gets us like more along the way. Now, as for a game that I was looking for and it didn't show, I really can't think of nothing off the top of my head. I can't think of nothing that I was looking forward to that I felt like it should have been here. So I'm just like,
Hey man, that sounds like you had that's a good time for you then, I guess.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice time for me. Like, I wasn't looking for something in particular to be here, and I was just like, it should have been here. But if it wasn't there, it wasn't there, and I was just ready to move on to the next show because we got like what, another 6 or 7 this week.
Not that I know of. It's just Ubisoft, Capcom, technically the Xbox Extended, if that's something that like interests you,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then the RGG Summit, and that's it.
Oh, okay then. So we ain't got that many, but
Yeah.
nothing else I can think of off the top of my head. Everything I got or wanted was there.
Okay. Well, in that case, Rakeem, what about you, man? Surprise, and then like the game that you was like, hey, man, this really not here.
Yeah, my surprises, if we're going about a one game, I was gonna say the Star Wars Outlaws because I was blown away by that. But I gotta be honest, I'm just like y'all, Prince of Persia. I had no idea that was coming. Like that, and it was the first game, like
Yeah.
completely blown away. I was like, and it looked so fun. Like it was such fast-paced action. Looked so frenetic and energetic, and like it was so different from that remake we had a year, was it 2 years ago now? I don't know how long ago that was announced. That I was like, it was almost jarring. I was like, man, like it's like y'all have two different ideas of how this game should look in your studio, but nevertheless, I really enjoyed how it looked. So that was my big one. That was really the big one because it dropped my mouth dropped. I couldn't believe it. As far as games that weren't there, I was surprised. I'm gonna say, I guess, FromSoft stuff like the Elden Ring DLC and the Armored Core demonstration, like because they have a schedule they usually go by. They have the non-gameplay trailer, the CG trailer, and they do a gameplay trailer, and then around this time of year, demonstration. It's pretty much like they do it every single time for almost every single game they do. And then after that, they have like a beta of some sort, and then the game comes out like 2 months after that. So like I was kind of surprised to see something from either one of those camps for me personally. I heard there may have been a thing where they had something for the press that wasn't shown, that was at the Summer Game Fest but wasn't shown for the trailers. That might be a possibility. So it could be a thing where like we get something where the press comes out next week and like, oh yeah, we got to see Armored Core behind the scenes. This is what we think, and then we get a trailer after that. But yeah, that was what I was surprised not to see. But I mean they're so close to release. We're going to see something at least by July, most likely.
Right.
I think Armored Core comes out September, I believe.
August, isn't it?
Was it August?
Is it?
Even better.
Let me make sure. Let me not lie to y'all.
Yeah, let's make sure
Armored Core 6.
Don't let it be another
August
September
25th.
game.
August 25th.
Wow. Okay, August 25th.
Oh yeah,
then.
Man,
even better.
September's so
Even better.
packed.
I
It
know.
Go ahead and get August. Get August while you can, because September about to rock.
Get October.
But yeah, those are the ones I was kind of surprised by. But yeah, Prince of Persia blew my mind. I will give a shout out to Outlaws too, because I love what I saw. Oh, I can't wait to see the gameplay demonstration, bro. I can't wait.
My surprise of the show, surprise of the shows that we're talking about today is definitely Star Wars Outlaws, because like that was announced like a partnership between Star Wars and Ubisoft was announced like 2, maybe 3 years ago. And usually when you get that, it's like, oh yeah, this is probably 6-7 years off, and it'll be forever. Maybe you see it at the end of the generation, and somehow they managed to do a turnaround. So that tells me either they had been working on that game for a while, or just Ubisoft was really on it with this one. Didn't really, they kind of knew what they wanted. They prototyped it quickly, got everything done, and just like, okay, and it's coming out next year. I mean, like, there were rumors about it, but I was still kind of skeptical, because I'm like, yeah, this, like, for an example, like the other game that was kind of a big surprise was Metaphor ReFantazio. Like that game took 6 years. That shit was announced in 2017. Like, we were Project ReFantasy, and then it just vanished for 7 years, and then now we're seeing it again, and it's still not coming out this year. So like that's how you normally get, like, when they say, oh, we're working on a new IP. Unless it's a smaller game, it takes forever for you to get it. So that was a huge surprise. Stray Gods. This is a game that y'all probably didn't see. It was on what was it on? I think the Future Gaming Show. Yeah, the Future Game Showcase. It's basically like a role-playing musical. It's like a role-playing game, but it's like a musical, and you like interact with like the Greek gods. And that was like, oh, okay, I can dig that. It's got a nice vibe, nice animation. What's up, Rakeem?
Oh, you can't not bring up how sexy everyone looks. Everyone looks so sexy.
Yeah, that game was one of those games where everybody was hot as fuck for no reason. I was like, what's going on?
Oh, so is it like the webtoon that the Greek gods webtoon? What is it? Shit.
Probably.
I forgot what it's called, but dang it, I forgot what it's called. But yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that game was a huge surprise to me. So I mean, as far as what game I thought would be there, wasn't. Man, there were hella games that I thought would be there. Dragon Age Dreadwolf, I'm gonna let that one slide, because I think that they're probably gonna be on like, and EA has always kind of been like this, a very short reveal release cycles. They'll show off a game, and the next thing you know, it's like, yeah, it's coming out in like 5-6 months. And so like a game that's, you know, basically it would be a year off, even if it came out in September, even if it came out next summer, like, okay, it makes sense. So like, if anything, I would be more surprised to see that. I would be more surprised if it's not at the Game Awards, because they've been at the, like, BioWare seems to like showing up at the Game Awards. So like, that's probably where that was always going to be. I just, you know, had a little hopium. Man, fucking
Lower Olympus.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's the name of the website.
Crimson Desert not being there pissed me off, man.
Yeah. Good
When
point.
they came up in there and it was like, I was like, oh, Pearl Abyss gonna be there. I'm like, yeah, it's
Pearl
live.
Abyss was there. They had a
Yeah,
trailer.
they definitely had a trailer for Black Desert Online. I was like, fuck, I don't care about this. Like, it was an expansion of Black Desert Online. I'm like, I don't care about this at all. Show me Crimson Desert. Like, have y'all fixed the frame rate on? And that game supposedly is coming out this year. Like, yeah, I definitely doubt it. Speaking of games where I doubt it, Eiyuden Chronicle, like, that was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And like, they need to go ahead and come clean by the end of this month and just be like, look, this game's not coming out this year. Because like, there's no way, unless you just, again, short release cycle, like, oh, the release date, it's gonna be, you know, October or some shit. Like, you should have been talked about this by now. The fact you've been completely silent, it says a lot.
They're still updating on a Kickstarter about the development, but now no trailers in.
And I think I read the last update, and you know, it's still kind of like, oh, we're working on the game, we're working diligently, and we're in the final stretch. Is like, that stretch is probably gonna get you in 2024. Just go ahead and be honest, come on out with it. And then the last game that I was super surprised that wasn't there at all was Contraband. I really thought by now Contraband would be done, or not done, but like ready to show off. And because I would have thought 2024. But apparently not. Apparently that's, you know, 2025 or later. And, you know, they didn't want to show it at all. The fact they didn't show it at all tells me either there's another showcase that they plan on showing up at. Like, maybe they show up at Gamescom. Yeah. Well, it's too big to be at the extended one. It would have been here for that. But it could be at Gamescom opening night live, because, like, Jeff, he does tend to have, like, a Summer Game Fest-ish type conference for that. You might get something over there. I mean, that's where Everywhere got shown off. You might be shown off there again. So either that or it shows up at, you know, the Game Awards. Like, yeah, you know, we still had to hold some in the chamber. So I don't know. But other than that, like, those were the three big ones. But I think that's going to wrap it up this week. If you like this episode, I need a few things from you. I need you to do us a favor and hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Don't just check us out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody, tell your coworkers you don't know you might make a new friend. And I need you to do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.